A city park, the Park of the Four Waters, was located near the archaeological excavations and within the limits of the Pueblo Grande community. At that time, the place was trash-strewn, wild chunk of real estate, ignored by the city and inhabited by vagrants. Phoenicians did not have Sunday picnics in this park. I regarded it as a kind of living archaeological site and spent many hours making pictures of the accumulating detritus, artifacts, if you will, that littered the landscape. I found chipped stone flakes scattered among plastic rings, broken dolls, and machine parts. The pages of racy magazines and tabloids, crisped and warped by the weather, flapped in the wind beside century-old pottery sherds. A pile of railroad spikes, the skeleton of a bird, a battered and stained copy of the Arabian Nights. Everything was there. In addition to the evolving middens, there were the camps of the homeless. Some consisted of no more than a body-sized sleeping place next to a fireplace of river cobbles. But park residents had developed others into more permanent dwellings with home-like enhancements. A canvas fly, worn easy chair, sleeping nook with a mattress, a kitchen complete with cooking utensils and plastic dinnerware. One early morning I walked farther into the park, beyond the main concentration of camps and across the railroad tracks. The end of Sky Harbor Airport's main runway was only a few yards away. There I found a deep, broad, prehistoric canal, and in it an isolated encampment in the shade of a tree. Its occupant had nailed a sheet of rough plywood to the tree to form one side. Another sheet, brightly decorated with stars, formed the back. A propped-up, slatted fence served as the third wall. Whoever lived there had dug a square fire pit and lined it with cement blocks. To one side, recessed under spreading branches of a tree, he had laid down his mattress. I approached slowly, coughed to signal my presence, and concluded that no one was home. When I moved closer and set up my camera, however, I discovered a large rattlesnake asleep in the hearth. I framed a picture, adjusted the settings. Just then I heard the deafening roar of a jet coming down the runway. When it rose over the tree, I depressed the cable release. As time passed and I grew more familiar with the park, I began no longer to regard its occupants as vagrants or homeless. Clearly this was their home. I saw them instead as members of an American subculture, a group of people continuing an age-old tradition of semi-nomadism, foraging, and making do with a minimum of possessions. Their way of life and their means of survival had defined our species for untold generations. Although these were solitary folk, I felt that they too were the descendants of the Hohokam. And now I'll show the photographs. The sun glyph is on a hill that's right near the Pueblo Grande site. And downtown Phoenix is, probably 25 blocks away. Okay, thanks. Again, these, as projected, these pictures are way light. But here are the graves that go back to about 10 or 1100 CE, and the footings of the industrial buildings some modern buildings, and then a plane landing at the airport. And not shown in the photograph, but kind of under the plane where that line of trees is the railroad tracks. And behind where I'm standing is the roads of Phoenix. Next. So this is after. The previous picture is before. And this is the same place the next year, or actually about 6 months later. And Phoenix named this the Holcomb Expressway. Next. This is what I referred to in the reading of the excavation of the ceramic figurines. Okay. Next. One of the homeless camps. Next. I'm standing at the bottom of this canal, and these are the berms of one berm of the canal. It's probably about 7 feet high. The other berm is over here, and it's, I'd say, about 10 meters across, just to give you an idea of the scale of the waterworks that the Holcomb Indians were in control of or constructed. And the final picture is one of the current residents of this city park. And that ends the presentation. I might just add with this picture up that the experience of photographing this park and its inhabitants was a real challenge. And I wanted very much to make contact with the people, but they were, first of all, most of them, they left early in the morning. I think they went into Phoenix to spend the day, perhaps to work. I don't know what they did. They may have had good jobs, but no home. I did meet one, and I got close to some others. They were very shy, and they'd see me with my camera equipment, tripod and so forth, and kind of detour around. So I didn't press the point, but I also felt a sense of regret that I wasn't able to get to know them. I'm sure that quite a few of them were Vietnam vets, and I was, so I wanted to meet and talk to them about that. In any event, I did meet one who I was photographing his camp, and it was one of the more elaborate ones, and he walked in as I was just taking a picture, and I didn't see him coming. I turned around, and we were both surprised to find each other. I was standing, I guess, in his living room. And so we talked for a while, and he was interested to know what I was doing. And so I explained the Arts Commission project and what we were doing, and he was actually very receptive. But I'm not sure if I didn't have the courage or if I was wisely sensitive not to ask him to take his portrait there. I felt that it was maybe invasive enough to be in his house without photographing him, so I moved on. But anyway, anybody have comments or questions they want to put out?